your objective in this world. If thou strive every moment to reach the presence, thou shalt be honored with the words, adore, and draw nigh. Quran 96:19. All the world are seekers of happiness, and on account of a false happiness they are in the fire. O soul that at peace, return to your Lord, pleased, pleasing. Quran 89:27-28. Whom he love and they love him. Quran 5:54. The test of a sincere repentance is abhorrence of past sins and utter abandonment of all pleasure in them, the old love for sin being superseded by the new love for holiness. Purify your heart of all but the love of God. Implement the power of fasting and abstinence to subdue the carnal lusts which lead man to destruction. God never fails to provide sustenance for those who take no thought for the morrow, but place absolute trust in Him. Now you must know that if a human being, al-insan, renounces their own personal aims, takes a loathing to their animal self, nafs, and instead prefers their sustainer, teacher, Rab, then the real will give, that human being, a form of divine guidance in exchange for the form of their carnal self so that they walk in garments of light. Thus that human being receives from their Lord what contains their happiness. Your fleshly soul must bear the burden of patience and thanksgiving. I desire riches, I desire position and renown. Prevent these voices from entering your heart, so that spiritual mysteries may be revealed. Repeat in prayer the name of God, drown the cry of the ghouls, close your narcissus eye to this vulture. Know the difference between the false dawn and the true, distinguish the color of the wine from the color of the cup, that, perchance, from the eyes which see the seven colors patience and waiting may produce a spiritual eye, with which you may behold colors other than these, and may behold pearls instead of stones. What pearl? Nay, you will become an ocean, you will become a sun traversing the sky. The worker is hidden in the workshop, go you and in the workshop see him plain. Inasmuch as the work has woven a veil over the worker, you cannot see him outside of that work. Since the workshop is the dwelling place of the worker, he that is outside is unaware of him. Come, then, into the workshop, that is to say, non-existence, that you may see the work and the worker together. As the workshop is the place of clairvoyance, then outside of the workshop there is only blindfoldness. See that you are not made captive by, if, saying, if I had done this or the other thing, for the sincere prophet forbade people to say, if, and said, that is from hypocrisy, for the hypocrite died in saying, if, and from saying, if, he won nothing but remorse. For the sake of this worldly life and obeying your fleshly soul, you are at war with God and man. Do not lose hope, nor be sad. Quran 3:139. In difficulties there is provided a way of salvation. In this tale there is a warning for thee, O soul, that thou mayest acquiesce in God's ordinances. And be wary and not doubt God's benevolence. When sudden misfortunes befall thee, let others grow pale from fear of ill fortune. Do thou smile like the rose at loss and gain. For the rose, though its petals be torn asunder, still smiles on, and it is never cast down. It says, why should I fall into grief in disgrace? I gather beauty even from the thorn of disgrace. Whatsoever is lost to thee through God's decree, know of a surety is so much gained from misfortune. What is Sufism? 'Tis to find joy in the heart, whensoever distress and care assail it. No troubles to be that eagle of the prophets which carried off the sandal of that Holy One, in order to save his foot from the bite of the viper. Misfortune happened to avoid greater misfortune. The man who asked Moses to teach him the language of animals. A certain man came to Moses and desired to be taught the language of animals, for, he said, men use their language only to get food and for purposes of deception, and possibly a knowledge of animals' languages might stimulate his faith. Moses was very unwilling to comply with his request, as he knew such knowledge would prove destructive to him. But, on his persisting, took counsel of God, and finally taught him the language of fowls and dogs. Next morning the man went amongst the fowls, and heard a discussion between the cock and the dog. The dog was abusing the cock for picking up the morsels of bread which fell from their master's table, because the cock could find plenty of grains of corn to eat, whereas the dog could only eat bread. The cock, to appease him, said that on the morrow the master's horse would die, and then the dog would have enough and to spare. The master, hearing this, at once sold his horse, and the dog, being disappointed of his meal, again attacked the cock. The cock then told him the mule would die, whereupon the master sold the mule. Then the cock foretold the death of a slave, and the master again sold the slave. At this the dog, losing patience, upbraided the cock as the chief of deceivers, and the cock excused himself by showing that all three deaths had taken place just as he had predicted, but the master had sold the horse, mule, and slave, and had thrown the loss on others. He added that, to punish him for his fraudulent dealing, the master would himself die on the morrow, and there would be plenty for the dog to eat at the funeral feast. Hearing this, the master went to Moses in great distress, and prayed to be saved. Moses besought the Lord for him, and gained permission that he should die in the peace of God, so that you may not grieve for what has escaped you, nor be exultant or gloat at what he has given you. And Allah does not love any arrogant boaster. Quran 57:23. When we're willing for life to be as it is, embracing both life and death, pleasure and pain, good and bad, comfortable in being both, we have accepted and be pleased with the decree of God. We have to relinquish our sense of entitlement, our sense that life owes us this and that. For example, we have to abandon the notion that we can compel others to love us by doing things for them. We have to recognize that we cannot manipulate life to satisfy ourselves, and that finding fault with ourselves or others is not an effective way of helping anyone. We slowly abandon our basic arrogance. If you have an expectation that cannot be achieved, you will feel life is painful, frustrating and heartbreaking. For example, some men have expectation on how his partner talk and act or behave or how she should dress. For me, I like to hear comforting words such as I need you, I love you, I care about you, I want to spend my life with you, I want to be your wife, welcome home honey, good night honey, I am yours and you are mine, there is only you in my heart, I choose you, my one and only. In a romance drama, you can make the girl say these comforting words. However, in reality, a man may never hear these comforting words. Man cannot control how his partner talk and behave because woman has her own way of thinking. Some married couple may even never say I love you to each other. God loved to praise himself and like his servant praise him sincerely from the bottom of their heart. He enables only a few that is capable of that. He unlocks their heart and expands their breast. He enables the heart to see and hear God. The heart lied not what it saw. Quran 53:10-11. Lo, therein verily is a reminder for him who hath a heart. Quran 50:37. My Lord, expand for me my breast. Quran 20:25. Whoever Allah wills to guide, he expands their heart to Islam. Quran 6:125. A few that turns away from this worldly life and turns to God. Flee to God. Quran 51:50. They do not fear death. They yearn for the meeting with God. The love for God and the love for the worldly life are like the east and west. Say to God, I choose you, my one and only. All I need is you, or you are all that I need. You are my pleasure and my pain. The pain being separated from you. The pleasure being accompanied by you. Be affable only with God. Love is freeing oneself except the beloved. The true lover attaches his heart only to the beloved. The lover should not be separated from his beloved because he cannot live without the beloved. If you give your heart to God, you are the captive of God wherever you are. Poverty, fasting, and silence become your friend. Your heart is your essence. The possessor of your heart is your king. Take shame to thyself for thy evil passions. Whoso bows his head to the King of Kings or God will receive 100 kingdoms not of this world, but the delight of bowing down before God will seem sweeter to thee than countless glories. Come, O you that seek the remedy, set your eye on non-spatiality, as the eye of one about to be killed turns towards the spirit. This spatial world has been produced from that which is without spatial relations, for the world has received the relation of place from placelessness. Turn back from existence towards non-existence, if you seek the Lord and belong to the Lord. This non-existence is the place of income. Do not flee from it. This existence of more and less is the place of expenditure. Since God's workshop is non-existence, outside of the workshop there is only worthlessness. Put into our hearts subtle words which may move thee to mercy, O gracious one. From thee come both the prayer and the answer, from thee safety, from thee also dread. If we have spoken faultily, do thou correct it. Thou art the corrector, O thou who art the Sultan of speech. Thou hast the alchemy whereby transmute it, and though it be a river of blood, mayest make it a Nile. Such alchemical operations are thy work, such alchemical operations are thy work, such elixirs are thy secrets. Thou didst beat water and earth together, from water and clay thou didst mold the body of Adam. God rules men by alternations of hope and fear. Thou gavest him, man, lineage and wife and uncles, maternal and paternal, with 1,000 thoughts and joys and griefs. Again, to some thou hast given deliverance. Thou hast parted them from this grief and joy. Thou hast borne them away from kindred and relatives and their own nature. Thou hast made every fair thing foul in his, such a one's, eyes. He spurns all that is perceived by the senses, and leans for support on that which is invisible. Discover within yourself that fundamental source of all things. If you look within and recognize your own original face, all secrets are in you. Seek the heart, spirit, set not thy heart on body or form, for that beauty of the heart is the lasting beauty, its lips give to drink of the water of life. Despairing of success by your own unaided efforts, cast your worry and care upon God. God made it a rule never to bestow his bounty on beggars who asked for it, but only on those who awaited his pleasure in silence.